So we're going to talk about Moonbeam today. We're going to do a price prediction, a little bit different to my video yesterday. If you don't know this, I did a exit plan type video for polkadot. I will be doing one for this at some point in the future, but this is a price prediction where I think this can go with some realistic clarity. There's a lot of accounts going to like $60 to $90 for this. I'm like, chill your beans, mate. So if you're here, subscribe please. It makes a big difference. It'd be great to get above some key milestones this year. And yeah, I appreciate everyone that comes out and watches my drivel every single day. If you want me to cover other price predictions, let me know in the comments. I've got a massive note of them. My previous video got a load of them for the exit plans. So I think I'm going to be good for a while, which is great. So Moonbeam has recently just been listed on Upbit. It's got a lot of volume added. Upbit is one of the biggest exchanges in Korea and they like to buy things, right? Now for me, I'm a big holder of Moonbeam. If you don't know that, I am a holder. Disclaimer, a little bit of investment bias may be applicable here, right? So if you don't know what it is basically a bridge between Ethereum and polkadot, but it's, in my opinion, how I describe it, it's like Ethereum 3.0. It is fast, it is quick, scalable, and it doesn't clunk. If you use it, you can use the native elements around Ethereum. So MetaMask, the whole ERC network kind of just work around it. It really works very, very well. It's great. So with that being said, let's talk about something that's really, really important. Is it growing? Yes, it is. Developments growing. Projects growing massively. It's getting bigger and bigger. We're seeing 338 projects on this ecosystem already. It's starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. That is good for the future. One thing as well that is also happening, the token unlocks are getting more and more diluted, which is great, thank God. So when we look at investment opportunity, there's a lot less getting released on us, which is why a lot of projects in the world of the parachains looks like that. And a lot of people go, well, it's dead, it's crap, it's rubbish. But I'm going to say this, if you're new around here, you may not know some of the stuff that I invested in the previous cycle, but they look like this. They came out at a really bad time. Silica was a good one. Why I mention that is because it came out in like February 2018 and it was cold. This just came out in January 2022. It has never seen a sunlight. It has never seen a bull market. It's never really had the oomph. But the price doesn't really matter. As long as the team are developing, they're growing and all that kind of stuff, it's fine. So let's talk about the price prediction stuff. Now, for me, I'm going to say that the all-time high was roughly around $11. Why did I come to this conclusion? Well, let me show you. Because once I get there, bear with me, it might take a while. We're getting there slowly. There we go. Cool. So we had the release, it melted and it went right the way back up to 15. Then it melted, then it found a level of support. I'll zoom in for all you mobile users because you can't see diddly squat. Kind of gives you that idea. Now you can probably argue, yeah, $15 might be the all-time high, but I think this is more of a realistic one because there was only 20% of tokens released at the time of the event of the crowd loan. So small amount of dilution. And then over time, it was obviously drip fed through. Hence why the price now looks a bit, yeah, you get the idea. So we could argue, maybe you could say, well, actually, is this the top? We could probably argue maybe. So we'll do a Fibonacci from that as the absolute top. But for me, I like to say $11 is roughly the all-time high for this in terms of like an obvious kind of testing area. But it doesn't really matter because we're going to fly through it, aren't we, boys and girls? Yes, we are. It says with confidence, but we'll go from it. Right, so let's talk about it. Now, again, I've kind of went through it and alluded to it in terms of how much money do you need to make in terms of cryptocurrency. Well, this could be the one where you could put a lot less in there and you could get multiples in abundance just due to network effect and time. Again, it's growing. It's Ethereum based, essentially. It's really, really helpful for a lot of people to use it in terms of developers and obviously users like ourselves, and it's good. So if we go and look at where can this go, now, I don't want to say that it's going to go to the multi-million-dollar levels because I think that would be a bit daft. Let me go to the weekly time frame. It would probably make more sense. So that is kind of what, oh my God, look at the state of it. So let me go and do a fib. Now, as I say, this is kind of where the top was in terms of that retest. If you want to use that area, you probably can. So that's what it kind of looks like. It looks awful. And it does because of the emissions. The emissions is a massive factor here. if you think about it, VCs are getting paid, holders are getting paid, like myself as well, in terms of every single day with the crowd loan. So people are selling their rewards. I'm personally staking and restaking and always compounding, but everyone's different, right? So the one obvious fib is the 382, $5.63. It's had a retest. Now that's important. It's broken down, it's went and retested it. So for me, and I'll be honest, if my bags get towards that point, I will be incredibly twitchy. I probably would have taken a bit of profit before that. But for me, when we look at this obvious area, it looks massive. It looks like a huge area where there's going to be a lot of interest. Now, in terms of market capitalization and stuff, I'll look at that in a second. But this is the thing. There's a lot of accounts that I think it's going to go much, much higher. But for me, this is the first big stumbling block in terms of a price prediction. And where it could go could be very much, that area could be the key for it. If it goes above that, it's obviously going to have a lot less to kind of navigate through, and it's going to be into the blue sky breakout stuff, considering there's not much weight here. This is just selling pressure, right? So can we go to higher than, well, give or take, you could probably argue maybe the 618, which is again an area where we had a bit of interest. And another one as well, when we go on the lower time frames and we just pinpointed those areas again, huge areas. They're all roughly around the Fibonacci level, which kind of makes sense in terms of why price stopped and reversed at the time and why it's all adding up. Now, as you know, if you follow me, I use a Fibonacci a lot to kind of see my price areas of bailing out essentially. But for me, can we make new extensions? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Now, obviously ignore the wick because we've went from the top here roughly around $14, $15. $23 could be massive, huge. Is it possible though? Now that's the thing. So let's look at this. So this is $30. If you put 2,500 Glmr in roughly now, $570, it's going to give you $75 if it goes to $30, right? Huge. 22.5 billion. Is that possible? Well, it depends on what you think. Now, for me, I think that's unlikely. It's possible, don't get me wrong. And I will happily eat one of my hats if it does go to $30. I will be making a lot of money at the time so I can afford surgery in case it gets stuck. You get the idea. But for me, I think $5.63 should be an absolute critical area for anyone who's holding the bag, not financial advice, of course, to take some profit, right? Obvious. But for me, what I would be looking at doing is aiming to get above $10. I think $10 could be massive as a psychological number. Certainly over this $11.42, which is we zipped, pulled back, and we rejected, right? And then from there on, the sky is a freaking limit. However, that being said, $11.42, as much as it looks like a nice number, is an $8.6 billion market, roughly a 50x from here. Still could be a monstrous return for anyone that wants to hold an asset like this. And obviously, over time, the circulating supply will increase a little bit, but we're currently at 141 million market cap, which is pretty low, let's be fair, in terms of where we are right now, in terms of what this can achieve. Now, I have seen some videos that are suggesting maybe, $50 and stuff like that. If it ever hit $50 at 37.5 billion, I think very, very unlikely, but it could at some point in the future, in the next decade, happen. Right, we've got to not rule out stuff like that in terms of project ecosystems, network effect, growth, all that kind of stuff. But I find that very, very unlikely. But for me, I think $11 would be a monstrous gain, in my opinion. Certainly if you've got a decent bag at these levels, for obvious situations, that's very, very low prices. But if you're writing it down, check out these fib levels, right? For me, $5.63 is a monster level to get over. $9 too could be big, but $11.42 is probably going to be the absolute critical one. So I'll be taking profits certainly here and here. I will more than likely be taking profits where this level of resistance is, because that could easily be a nice 10x from that point. So it kind of makes sense. So bear that in mind. But if you want more videos like this in terms of price predictions, or if you want me to do a full exit plan of what I'm aiming to do, including mistaken rewards and stuff like that, let me know in the comments and I will happily cater for you. But yeah, hope you enjoy. Project is a one that I really like and I hope it does well. But in terms of the figures, there's a lot of upside here. Risk to reward is good.